Okay, so I've been sent this, thanks Reese, for some information that Aldewar has posted in one of the forums. So, in terms of figures, these are slightly delayed due to not being happy with a couple of issues, but you are likely to see the CO online versions of figures hopefully in early September. The standard retail edition of the figures are different, that will be released later, likely were October when the date came from. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is him assumedly talking about the upcoming wave of new series, and I mean like new series Doctor Who figures, and talking about how there are going to be differences between them, because notice he mentions figures here, not sonic screwdrivers. We'll get onto that in a minute. Figures. So, yeah, there are going to be different. Now, how different, I don't know. Like, for example, in terms of a 15th Doctor figure, well, Ncuti Gatwa has a ton of different costumes. So, yeah, a case I could very much believe in that one version maybe the leather-coated version and the other being a coatless version from Space Babies. That's a very easy possibility. Or the different coloured jumper, because I swear he has a different coloured jumper when he's wearing that leather jacket, and that seems to be the one that's on, because there's no way on earth Aldewar is doing every single variant, and that, especially considering that the leather jacket, the long leather jacket, trench coat type look, seems to be the more default one. Although, again, Ncuti Gatwa doesn't really have a default costume, but again, we will see with that one. And what the other differences could be. But more than likely, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be paint variations more than anything else, because they're not gonna pay more money for, new sculpts and that, only to have them on one. But yeah, also it'll be interesting to see what retailers do stock them, whether it'll be like general retail release, because the 14th Dr. Sonic Screwdriver was anything but that. Will 15th be any different? I don't know. I think if they can get Smiths and Toy Entertainer on board, then maybe that'll convince the other retailers, like, especially Smiths, like the biggest, toy retailer in the UK. Because obviously we don't really... I mean, Toys R Us technically still exists as an online website, but come on, you really need to get Smiths on board. Anyway, talking about the Sonic Screwdriver, it is getting very limited numbers released at San Diego Comic-Con, but the main character online release is not going to be until at least a month later. So, yeah, that makes me think that they were able to get a very small batch of them made, but only enough to cover San Diego Comic-Con, and then later get a release online. That's also why I've heard rumours why the 15th Dr. Sonic Screwdriver is going to be £40, which, yeah, I don't think so. I think it's more likely going to be 30. The reason I think it might be 40 is it could be people are confusing the dollars confused with that, or it might just be that it's more expensive at San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, I could be wrong about this, but yeah, £40 for a Sonic Screwdriver is bloody pushing it a bit. Like 30 is pushing it, but yeah. 40? No. But yeah. Don't expect to be buying Sonics in July, which I wasn't really. So it's going to seem like it's going to be August, possibly late August at the earliest, that we'll be able to get a hands on it. To be honest, not that fussed, to be honest. That we'll have to wait on that, because obviously it's more convenient. I hope they don't do the thing that they did with the Forbidden Planet online with the last online exclusives, because myself and everyone else has overpaid for Joe Martin TARDISes, because they're a tenner, just about nearly a tenner cheaper in Forbidden Planet. Like, I went into my Forbidden Planet, and they had Joe Martin TARDISes. They were, I think, £31 or £31.99 at the most. So it's £8 or £9 less than they were online exclusive. Like, I understand the Silurian set going there because that set was 2 years plus old, so it makes sense. But the Joe Martin TARDIS, like, is only months old. So, yeah, I hope they don't pull that thing again, because that is just taking the piss. The whole point of the online exclusive was it was meant to be, in the name, online exclusive, yet for it literally a couple of months down the line, oh, we're just going to give the remaining stock to Forbidden Planet. So, yeah, Forbidden Planet bought the remaining stock, so, yeah. Anyway, I'll go on. I totally get the frustration with the Sonic is massively complex at this time around in terms of function versus anything we've done before, and the figures are all... let me read that again. Function versus anything we've done before, and the figures are an all new style of articulation. Okay. I think he's trying to mean that they've, rather than just having, like, for example, the 90-degree bend, and that there's also rotation joints. I think, because Dewar is obsessed with bloody, like, comparing, for some reason, character options figures to basically more higher-end products. Like, he mentions the Star Wars Black Series figures and stuff like Marvel Select and other stuff like that. Like, you know, you can go down that route if you want to. I'm not saying you can't. But things have to be a lot better in order, you know, for them to be on the same page. Because, again, those type of figures, yeah, they're £25-30 per figure. But generally, they're all completely new, unique sculpts most of the time. Whereas character options is just constantly reusing parts. And that's fine. Because the price, you know, at least with the B&M sets, will reflect that. But you can go down one route, you can go down the other route. But what Dewar, you know, the route Dewar's going to go down, I don't know. Because comparing them to that is just not the same. I've gone at lengths to talk about that, but basically, either the price needs to reflect that or the quality needs to go up. Like, one of two things needs to happen. Actually, a third thing also needs to happen. Dewar needs to also make sure he releases figures that people actually want to buy. And not fuck them up. Yeah. It needs to be stuff that people actually want to buy and not just something he wants in his own collection. Because that is very much a thing in Dewar's mind, in that, you know, unless his hand is absolutely forced upon it, which it was with B&M in basically doubling down on Dalek sex and essentially almost completely forgetting about 3-packs, then generally Dewar's not going to do that. But anyway. Then he goes on to say, blame me as it's my projects, but my opinion, which is the only opinion that matters to him, is that they both have to be spot on before they are released. Dewar, that's your job. That's your job. That they've got to be spot on. Like, it's not, you're not doing us a favour in that, oh, it's, you know, we could release them now, but in my opinion, they have to be the absolute best. No, that's your job. They're supposed to be the best, you know, they can be, and that in order to sell. Problem is, half the time, you're not doing that. And that you're going off on some other weird tangent about things, about getting obsessed about having weird packaging for them, where you make, again, on the Joe Martin TARDIS, you have it at a diagonal corner, which raised the price for no fucking reason and made it more complicated. Which, yeah, anyway, I digress. I'll go on to tangents and that about that later. However, I am really pleased with how all the new stuff looks, and I think it will blow your socks off. Will it? Well, that remains to be seen. Because obviously, you know, obviously we know it's going to be a 15th Doctor figure will be coming out, and most likely we'll get a Ruby figure. And possibly other stuff and that along with that as well. It depends how big and that the wave is going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere on the line of 4 to 6 figures. That's just my guess. And that because we don't have any full confirmations. Once again, once the Sonic is officially announced and shown at San Diego Comic-Con, I think you'll be pleased with what you see. I mean, we've already seen it. I mean, one, there was those early prototypes from back at that toy fair, and obviously we had a leaked photo and that of it the other day. But making a complex prop with moving parts and lights into a working toy is not easy. I mean, it's not that complex. We'll see when I do eventually get one, but like it doesn't look like the most complicated thing. It looks like there's 2 moving parts on it, and that's about it. I could be wrong, but to be honest, if anything, I would say it's possibly easier than some of the other Sonics. I would say stuff like the touch control was more complex and that than this. Because with the 15th Doctor Sonic, depending on where you put the electronics. But again, we'll see. And also, this is my prediction because there's 3 versions of 15th Sonic in 3 different colours. There's obviously the most famous blue one. There's a more sort of pinkish type one. And then there's more of a beige type one. There's no explanation ever given to this in the show, it's just that's the case. And with what's happened with 14th Sonic, yeah, we're getting 3 variants. We are getting 3 variants of it, I imagine. I imagine it'll probably go the same way as 14's did, where we'll have an online exclusive version, then we'll have a retail version, then maybe Forbidden Planet or who knows, someone else may get another exclusive version, and it'll just be 3 different colours. But regardless, we will, unless like one of the variants, you know, sells particularly badly, like we're going to see all 3 colours because, you know, it's an easy way to sell the same thing 3 times over because all it is just a different colour. Which, you know, I will most likely buy all 3 unless the Sonic is terrible. But we'll see. But, yeah, there we go. Kind of waffled on a bit on this, but just to give my thoughts. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens.